The former farm owner gave the house keys to a homeless woman with a boy. And when he came back, he looked through the window and then… Ivo lived among the ruins of his former life. Since Natasha had left him, his once well-kept house had become nothing more than a shadow of itself. The frost crept through the cracked walls, dust gathered in the corners, and alcohol became his only daily companion. The once respected farm worker was now just a tired man, battling the emptiness in his heart every morning, and losing every time. One particularly icy winter morning, Ivo sleepily stepped outside his house and froze in place. Standing before him were a young woman and a small boy. Their jackets were thin, their faces marked by the cold, but their eyes, especially the woman's, held a silent cry for help. Without thinking twice, Ivo handed her the key to his house. No questions, no conditions. Just a quiet understanding between two lost souls. As he later trudged through the snow to work, Ivo realized he felt something different inside himself for the first time in months. A sense that not every form of salvation arrives loudly. Sometimes it simply knocks quietly at your door, freezing, shivering, and called Nastya. And sometimes salvation is smaller than you think, no bigger than a child named Maxime. When Ivo returned home that evening, everything was different. Even from outside, he could see light flickering in the windows, something that hadn't happened in his house for months. Inside, he didn't find chaos, but order. The air smelled of freshly cooked food, and on the old sofa sat Nastya and Maxime, quietly giggling over a tattered children's book. For a moment, Ivo just stood there, unable to believe that this warm, living scene was truly his home. At the kitchen table, over steaming tea and a bowl of soup, Nastya told him her story. Her voice was calm, almost apologetic, as she spoke of her escape. How her own mother had betrayed her, how she and Maxime had become strangers in their own lives. No tears, no dramatic words. Only the quiet dignity of a mother who had nothing left except her child and the hope of starting anew somewhere. In the days that followed, the house continued to change. But even more, something inside Ivo changed. Maxime giggled at breakfast. Nastya sang softly in the kitchen as she cleaned. And Ivo, who thought he had long since lost his heart, felt something he had believed impossible. The warmth that only a true family could bring. No grand gestures, no promises. Just small, daily proofs that sometimes trust grows silently, like a flower that dares to bloom despite the winter. The new life that had quietly and naturally built itself between Ivo, Nastya, and Maxime was suddenly shaken when Natasha appeared at his door. Dressed in expensive clothes and wearing a sweet, practiced smile, she spoke of regret, of shared memories, and of wanting to make everything right again. For a moment, Ivo felt the old uncertainty, the power this woman had once held over him. But as he looked into the empty house, now devoid of children's laughter, he knew. This time, he would not be deceived. Nastya had vanished, run away with Maxime, out of fear of being driven away again, out of the pain of never truly belonging. Ivo felt how what truly mattered was slipping through his fingers. Without hesitation, he ran, ignoring the streets, the fields, the biting frost. Every second counted, not just to bring them back, but to reclaim what had made him feel alive again. When he finally found them, huddled together under a tree in the snow, he didn't hesitate for a second. No explanations, no doubts, just an outstretched hand, a silent promise that he would never again allow someone who had given him back his heart to fight alone. And in that moment, Ivo knew true family is not made from the past. It is made from choices. Here and now, Ivo had found them. And this time, he wasn't letting go. He knelt down in the snow before Nastya and Maxime, swearing to them that they would never have to fight alone again. Nastya, who had never placed much trust in promises, looked into his eyes and saw. They weren't just words. It was a decision, one that weighed heavier than any written vow. one that weighed heavier than any written vow. A few weeks later, they stood side by side at the small registry office. No big celebration, no guests, just three hearts that had decided to believe in each other. The old house, once filled only with emptiness and cold winds, slowly turned into a real home. Ivo repaired every corner. Nastya filled it with warmth, and Maxim's laughter echoed through the halls like a salvation. It wasn't always easy. When Nastya's mother suddenly appeared one day with her new husband, full of demands and bitterness, it became clear how strong they had become. Ivo remained calm, protective. He made it clear that this family no longer belonged to anyone except themselves. Spring came. Flowers blossomed in the beds that Nastya had lovingly planted. Maxim ran barefoot through the garden, laughing, stumbling, standing up again. Sometimes Ivo stood at the window watching the colorful life outside and wondered how he had ever thought his path was over. Not wealth, not pride, this was the true victory. A child growing up without fear, a woman who stayed not out of necessity, but by choice. In this house, there were no old wounds left, only scars, worn proudly like medals. It wasn't the perfect life Ivo had once dreamed of. It was better. It was real. And as the sun rose over the roof and the first birds welcomed the new day, he knew. The most beautiful thing about a home isn't the roof over your head. It's the people who stay once the storm has passed. Sometimes it's not the big decisions that change our lives. Sometimes it's a simple key, an open heart, an outstretched hand in the snow. Ivo, Nastya, and Maxim proved that family isn't created by blood, but by courage, trust, and the willingness to love again. From a crumbling house, they built a home. From three broken hearts, they created a story that proved it's never too late for a second chance. If this story touched you, leave a like and share it with someone who believes in second chances. Subscribe to our channel for more stories that show sometimes a new life begins with a single encounter.